Bro, when I went to Ghana, that was the first time I felt like just a black man.
Yeah.
I'm not a black man who's a threat. I'm not a black man that is ghetto because he's wearing a do-rag.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a black man that's uneducated.
Yeah.
I'm not a black man that's trying to rob you.
Yeah.
I'm just a black man.
Are black Americans lazy people? Well, you will never understand the daily struggle of a black American until you step foot in America. I should be honest with you, as a small boy growing up in Africa, I used to think black Americans are lazy. They don't want to work, they just want to enjoy government benefits. Well, I guess I was wrong. So today we are going to tackle some of the biggest lies talked about black Americans, the misconceptions that have been repeated so much that many people back in Africa believe to this day. I am making this video to educate both Africans and black Americans about who we are as black people, aside from what the media says. The media portrays Africa as uncivilized, third world continent with hungry and poor people who lack all the basic necessities of life. Sadly, that's who we are to the world. And it's the same way they portray black Americans. This has left us divided for a long time. They have made you hate us. They have made us hate you. But today, we are setting the record straight. So, in my last video, I was calling black people back to the motherland. I explained Ghana's return policy, which involves giving blacks in diaspora citizenship, making the country visa-free and providing incentives to whoever wants to start a business. Still, I realize I cannot call you home without addressing a few things that have kept us divided for decades. How the media portrays Africa has made black Americans disassociate and distance themselves from anything related to Africa. In other words, we are an embarrassment to the world. But on the other hand, the same media portrays blacks in diaspora as the worst people. In this video, I'm going to talk about the top 10 lies we as Africans have been told about black Americans. So if you're ready for some truth, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into it. Lie number 1, black people are lazy. Let us start with one of the biggest lies. So back in the days in Africa, we had no access to phones. We didn't even know what was happening outside Africa, not until the age of 18 that I bought my first phone. But there is this image of laziness the media portrayed about blacks in diaspora, and it's all we knew as young boys, not until I visited the USA and realized it's black people that have built the country from scratch through the years. From building America during slavery to excelling in every field imaginable, black Americans have worked harder than most. After slavery ended, black communities thrived, building businesses, schools, and entire neighborhoods, until many were destroyed by unfair policies and violence, like what happened in Tulsa's Black Wall Street in 1921 and the Atlanta race riot back in 1906. Hard work has never been an issue in the black community. It is the systemic barriers that have made it hard for them to get ahead. Lie number 2, black people don't value education. Next up, the myth that black people don't value education. That's just false. Historically, black Americans fought for the right to learn. Enslaved people were punished for reading, black students were denied admissions in certain schools, which implies the black man has always been trying to access school, but he is intentionally denied the right to school. Fast forward to today, we see millions of black students excelling in education. Black Americans have founded prestigious HBCUs and are leading in science, medicine, and business. The real issue is underfunding schools in black communities, due to systemic inequalities. Lie number 3, black people commit most crimes. Oh, I grew up knowing this. This is what I thought, because that's what I used to see on media. This one is used a lot to justify racism and maybe over-policing. But let's look at the facts. Studies show that crime rates are linked more to poverty than race. Whether you go to Africa, whether you go to Asia, crime rate is not about how you look or where you come from. It's the poverty that pushes people to commit crimes. And since black communities have been historically underfunded and over-policed, it's no surprise that arrests are higher there. Also, let's not forget racial bias in the justice system. Black people are more likely to be wrongfully convicted. When you take systemic racism into account, the numbers tell a very different story. Lie number 4, black fathers are absent. This is something that has been spreading like wildfire. Black fathers are absent. They are never around. This one needs to be shut down immediately. The truth is, studies show that black fathers are more involved in their children's lives than any other racial group. Yes, systemic issues have led to some challenges, but the stereotype of the absent black fathers is just false. Lie number 5, black people don't build wealth. Oh, we've heard that so many times. This lie ignores history. Black Americans have built wealth repeatedly only to have it taken away through discriminatory laws, redlining, and attacks on black communities and businesses. Despite these obstacles, black wealth is growing with more black entrepreneurs and professionals than ever before. Lie number 6, affirmative action gives black people an unfair advantage. Some people claim that black Americans get handed opportunities unfairly. But the truth, affirmative action was created to counteract generations of discrimination, and the colonizer has benefited from it the most. Meanwhile, studies show that black people are still less likely to be hired even when they have the same qualifications. Lie number 7, black people are naturally more violent. I remember my first job in the US. I remember the incident. The employer told me, when they had hired me, they told me, here we don't fight. So I was wondering, why would you tell me here we don't fight if I've not had any fight with anyone? I don't know why she said that, but that's what she told me. This is a dangerous it's just a myth. Come on. The reality is that violence comes from economic conditions, not race. Black communities have been disproportionately affected by poverty due to historical oppression. And when poverty goes up, so does crime for all races, not just the black people. Lie number 8, slavery was a long time ago, so it doesn't matter. That's something we hear every day. Slavery may have ended in 1865, but its effects are still seen today. From the racial wealth gap to housing discrimination, the legacy of slavery is still shaping America. Ignoring history won't change the fact that black Americans are still fighting against these long-lasting impacts. Lie number 9, racism no longer exists. Well, we shouldn't deny the fact that there are good people and bad people in all races, whether you're white or black, Asian, brown. There are good people and bad people right now. Some people say racism is over, but reality tells a different story. From workplace discrimination to police brutality, racism is still alive and well. Just because things have improved doesn't mean the fight is over. Lie number 10, and this is the last one, black people play the victim. Black Americans don't play the victim. They fight for justice. From civil rights leaders to today's activists, black people have continuously pushed forward despite systemic oppression. Acknowledging injustice isn't playing the victim, it's demanding change. Lastly, as I conclude, to all black people in North America, in Europe and the Caribbean, South America and Asia, I may not succeed in persuading you to come to Africa or to come home, but at least my message has reached you. There you have it. 10 of the biggest lies talked about black Americans, completely debunked. If you learned something new today, be sure to like, comment and share this video so we can spread the truth. Let's keep the conversation going. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these myths you've heard the most. And if you haven't already, well, consider subscribing. But to my African brothers and sisters, I know many of you may not be online, but to those of you who can access YouTube or social media in all, at least try to spread the word. There are so many things that are false we've been told about black Americans, blacks in diaspora, and there are so many lies they have also told them about us. Well, that's the way they keep us divided. But I do understand and I do believe that if we come closer and get to know each other in person, aside from what the media says, I'm sure we shall be as strong as we've always been. Thank you for watching. See you next time.